Welcome to Guildford, Mike.
Yeah, right.
Good to see you again, my friend.
Yeah, great
well
to
met.
see you.
Just some quick fire questions,
Sure.
first of all. Where does Mike Eldred hang his hat these days? Where do you call home?
Well, I'm out in Phoenix now, but I go back and forth between Phoenix and LA because I do a lot of stuff out in LA too, and so I'm bouncing back and forth. But my main house is in Phoenix, Arizona.
Still Phoenix, cool. Yeah. Early years, you saw Zappa.
Yeah.
I believe a family across the road from you at the time.
Right.
So curious, where were you living and where was the concert?
I was living in this place, it was called Artesia, California. And it was a little suburb outside of LA. And it was a really kind of an old dairy town. And the first job I ever had was working on a dairy, out on a farm and stuff. But anyways, everybody was right there, and it was kind of like a cool, that area where I lived was kind of like a melting pot. There was a lot of Latino people there, and a lot of Dutch people, a lot of Portuguese people. So it's like you saw a bunch of different things, So so this family across the street, they were all older than me, and the Venezuelans was their last name.
It's kind of a Chavez Ravine thing going on.
Yeah, it was really cool, and so they would, they saw that I played guitar. And so once they saw that I played guitar, they were like, "Oh, you need to come do this and do that." And they took me to go see, Zappa, Lightning Hopkins.
And the venue? What was the venue then?
The venue was the Long Beach Arena.
Okay.
And it was New Year's Eve, Long Beach Arena, and I'd never been to a real big concert like that, and it was unbelievable.
That's amazing.
It was Frank Zappa and the Mothers, Flash Cadillac and the Continental Kids, and the Johnny Otis Blues Show.
I can remember it all still now. We know how you came to music, but why the guitar? I know about some of your influences, but you taught the guitar. What was it, the guitar, and not the piano or something else?
I sat down and I was a big Beatles fan, and when I saw the Beatles on Ed Sullivan, I was just like, what the heck is this? And so I wanted to play drums. And so I would practice drums. I didn't have a drum set. I'd use pillows because they sounded good. And I'd practice drums, and I had a friend of mine, and he was kind of into music, and he didn't have a drum set either. But I would go over to his house and practice over there, and we'd just make noise and stuff. And then I started, I want to get a drum set. And then I started looking to see how much they were. And they were expensive. It's like, well, maybe not drums,
What else?
So it's like, I'll try a guitar. And so my dad bought a guitar for my brother and I. And we had the guitar for maybe a week, and then somebody nicked it, and then it showed up maybe a month later, and it was all banged up and useless.
Oh, you showed up again?
Yeah.
Okay.
And then it was some neighbor kid grabbed it.
Yeah.
And then I just, he bought me another one, and then
you had lessons. You taught yourself.
I didn't have lessons. I would make noise. I'd make feedback.
Yeah.
I found an amplifier out in my garage. It was a extension speaker for my dad's stereo, and it was sitting up on the shelf. And I was like, well, it was pretty big. I was like, what is it? And I was looking at the side. There was an input, and it said Mike, M-I-C. But it was the same size as the guitar cable. I thought, I bet you it would work. And so I grabbed it down, plugged it in, turned it on. It was all tube. And I plugged my guitar into it, and it was like, oh man, it was a great sounding amp. And I would put that in my room, and I would just I'd make feedback. That's all I did, is make feedback all day, make noise.
That was your start.
Yeah, until a friend of my brother's came over, and he came in, and he's like, what are you doing? This isn't in tune. These are old strings. You need new strings. And then he started showing me stuff.
Yeah.
And then that's where it really kind of took off.
And then, so maybe you've answered that question, but who's been personally inspirational to you? A teacher, a mentor standpoint? Was there any one or a number of people that really stood out that really made a huge difference for you personally?
Scotty Moore, I always liked the guitar parts in Scotty Moore's playing and stuff. And so that was a thing where it's like, wow, Scotty really kind of, I want to learn how to play like that. And I thought it was Elvis playing guitar. And then, when I found out it was Scotty Moore, then I kind of tracked him down, and eventually I got to meet him. But I'd already been playing guitar, but I would practice all those those riffs and things like that. Him and Jimi Hendrix, you know, Jimi Hendrix was like a big influence because of the feedback and that whole pyrotechnical thing. When I was a kid, we would go, they would have these showings at like midnight showing of Rainbow Bridge. And my friends were like, it's Jimi Hendrix. We're gonna go see a movie about Jimi Hendrix. And so we'd go and see these movies and I'd sit there at the screen and go, it would blow my mind because it was like the sound he was getting out of the guitar was so different.
Anyone personal? So, I mean, they were kind of, you know, role models, whatever. Anyone personal that stood out for you, a certain teacher or someone that just kind of really brought you on? And really...
Yeah, well, there was a guy named Gary Turner who played around Lakewood, Downey, Long Beach, in the LA area, and he was a friend of a friend, and my friend played bass for him, and so my friend had a house, and he would play. They would get together, they would have a house party, and then everybody would go out into the studio, and Gary would come in, and Gary would play, and they'd all play a three-piece band. It was amazing. But Gary played Hendrix. It was all Hendrix. It was all note for note Hendrix. Amazing guitar.
And you picked up from him?
Oh, I watched him because I was such a big Hendrix fanatic. And then I found out he gave guitar lessons at Downey Music. And so then I went and I took guitar lessons from the guy, and that was just like, oh, he showed me a lot of stuff that I still use today.
Yeah, awesome.
Yeah.
Alan Lomax. I mean, you talk about his influence. I mean, he you know, his discoveries and that whole regional music thing or whatever, fascinating. Yeah. What influence did he have on you, if any?
When I got that record, Sounds of the South, it's a 4-record set. That was just like, holy crap! It was like the doors opened up. It was like, wow. And then I just started diving into that and line singing and all the shape singing and, you know, just all the crazy, you know, spiritual stuff, and then the prison work songs and stuff like that. I still buy that stuff now. And when I go down there, I always, you know, switch that stuff out.
And I guess you can hear that back in the music that you're playing now. It seems to me.
Yeah. A lot of that stuff, like there's the song we start off with on this tour and you usually start off with, it's called Black Annie, and people are like, well, what's that song about? You know, Black Annie was a strap that at Mississippi State Penitentiary, all the guards, they would beat the prisoners with. So if you got out in line or if you backstabbed somebody, they would bring out what the prisoners called a Black Annie, and they'd beat them with it. But it was a strap. It wasn't a whip. It was a strap, so it would cut them open. And it was really tragic and horrible and all that stuff. But so I wrote this song about it. And if you listen to that song, you know, don't need Black Annie, that girl gonna hurt way too bad. And it's kind of a prison work song that's been morphed into a song, a regular song.
Fantastic.